When the republic is confused and when the law is twisted, when the word is ignored, there must be an immediate briefing. Fellow Americans, here he is, straight from the heart of Toto town, within the clandestine chambers of the world-famous conservative college, America's favorite professor, officially recognized as first in the nation. This is The Briefing with Professor Toto.
And I want to answer the first question that I got the most of last night after part one. If you're just now tuning in, this is part two of the golden lever. We're talking about the golden reset that's about to happen under the presidency of Donald Trump. We're separating the hype from what's really going to happen. We're separating the conspiracy theories, the rabbit holes, and we're bringing it to where Professor Toto always brings everything, the middle of the road, where the truth is always found, okay? So you're in the right class. If you were walking down the halls of the conservative college and you were looking for the Q class, this is not it. If you were looking for the Candace and Tucker class, this is not it. This is the class of sanity, and you are my invited guest tonight. So hang tight. We're going to answer the question, if history repeats itself, and it does, if history repeats itself, and 1933 was a great gold heist, and if you understand Bretton Woods, by now you should understand the 1971 Nixon con job. You should understand why. Now I want to answer another question that came to me. What is the gold lever? Evidently, I didn't make myself plain last night. The gold lever is leaving gold at $42 an ounce. Because it's never been changed, it's due to be changed. And that is the cha-ching, golden lever, that somebody's going to pull. And we know who that somebody is. So the golden lever is the difference between $42 an ounce and whatever dollar an ounce. That's going to bring your cha-ching to America very soon. Now, what does that mean for all of us that are holding gold? What does that mean for every one of us? Now, I want to explain something. Listen to me clearly, and I'm going to explain this to you later tonight. Yes, you should be buying silver right now, and we're going to talk about silver tonight. You should be buying it like crazy, but, with the intention of converting it to gold, because the long play is gold. When this reset happens, in other words, you're going to want to use your gains in silver, and you don't want to convert that to cash ever. You want to convert it into gold and leave it there because the reset's coming. You know, we don't know exactly when. It's like the coming of the Lord, but we know it is coming, okay? So that's your strategy. Listen to me one more time. Get on the silver train, because when I get through tonight, it's going somewhere, and I'll show you where it's going. But the gains and the profits you make, for God's sake, don't cash out. But know when to convert to gold, and I'm going to teach you what those ratios should look like tonight, okay? So we've answered the question, what is the golden lever? It's the difference between the $42 and the whatever dollars. Also, when do I cash out my silver? Never. How dumb. Why would you cash out? No. You want to transfer. Keep it in God's money. Now, for those of you watching me tonight, I know that you have tried to book an appointment with us so you can buy silver and gold. We are booked out for weeks. But know this, if you book your appointment at that QR code right there, or if you go to godsmoney.info and book your appointment, don't worry about how far out it is. We are moving people daily to the front of the line when we have a cancellation. So book that appointment, all right? So what I want to answer now before we go any further, if history repeats itself, if Trump pulls the lever and reprices gold, will he not do like FDR and confiscate our gold first, like FDR did? Question number 2 I'm going to answer. Why does there have to be a reset? Why can't we just keep kicking the can? And then question number 3, what's happening right now that proves this reset is coming? I'm going to answer all of that for you, and I'm going to show you why the 1933 FDR cycle is staring us in the face right now, and why this time confiscation is nearly impossible. So, Professor Toto, if Trump pulls the lever, reprices gold, will he not just confiscate it first? No, he will not. Let me explain to you why. Number 1, you got your pens ready? You need to be able to answer people when they say, well, I'm not going to get gold, it's going to get confiscated. Number 1, if you buy from godsmoney.info, there is one thing that FDR did not confiscate. 2 things: silver and collectible coins. Make sure that some of your gold, not all of it, some of your silver is in collectible coins. Those are absolutely not able to be confiscated. Number 2, you want to get your gold and silver from foreign mints if possible, but we'll go over those details a little later tonight. So what is the difference in 2025 and 1933? Huge. Okay. The government in 1933 needed your gold to operate the dollar. That doesn't exist anymore. Let that sink in. We were still on the gold standard, remember? So the government had to have gold to keep the dollar alive. But remember, we're untethered now from gold. The dollar lives without gold now. So that pressure is not there the way it was in 1933. We've been printing without gold for 54 years now. They do not need your gold to keep the dollar afloat, okay? Number 2, gold right now is invisible. In 1933, your gold was in a bank. Remember, they did a run on the banks because that's where everybody's gold was. The government knew where your gold was. But today, gold is in private vaults like the one we have in Idaho, Vault Max. They are in backyards, buried in holes. They're scattered across millions of hands. So in other words, we're in a different world than FDR was in. In those days, gold was in the bank. Now gold you can't trace it. Nobody knows where all the gold is because if it's in a private vault, the government has no access to that information. Number 3, there are escape hatches everywhere that they did not have in 1933. In 1933, gold was the only escape from the dollar. But today we have crypto, Bitcoin, foreign currencies, the dinar, offshore accounts. We have many alternatives, and people would just convert. In other words, they would just convert the gold and just laugh at Donald Trump. In other words, oh, you want my gold? Fine. Push of a button, buy dinars or get Bitcoin. I don't have any gold. So it would not practically work anymore. And number 4, there's another reason that's not going to happen. It's called COVID-19. You see, in 1933, people complied because they didn't have time to think, right? That's why they turned their gold in. FDR moved in, 60 days, scared everybody, confused everybody. And we've seen that playbook now. You and I have lived through that playbook. We watched 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Anybody remember? 2 weeks to flatten the curve. It became 2 years of tyranny. We watched safe and effective lead to myocarditis, heart attacks in young people. We watched emergency powers destroy business, close churches, and force injections. And something broke for all of us. So if you try a gold confiscation in 2025, you're not going to get compliance, okay? You'll get 30 million Americans saying, come and take it. COVID was the vaccine against emergency tyranny in America. We're awakened. We have seen the light. We are immune, okay? And number 5, it would be political suicide for Donald Trump. Because who owns gold? None of your liberal friends own gold. You understand that, right? Democrats, they're dumb. They don't own gold. No. Who owns gold? Conservatives. The very nature of gold screams conservative, preservative. Preppers owns gold. Christians own gold. Veterans own gold. Guess whose base all of those people are? Donald Trump, okay? So he's not going to rob his own voters. Here's what he will do. Donald Trump is going to let gold rise. So get that out of your mind. He's not going to confiscate your gold. Let's take that off the table. Now, I'm not a prophet. Anything can happen, but I will say that's not, I'm going to put 9 out of 10 times not going to happen, okay? So here's what Trump will do. He'll let gold rise because this gold repricing that's going to happen soon is going to be the largest wealth transfer in history. And if you are stacking gold, I'll get inbox messages from all of you thanking me, like I did about the religious exemption letters by the thousands. This is going to be the largest wealth transfer in history. Stack gold. Stack it. Just stack it. Forget about, well, how will I spend it? Look, these dumb questions. Okay, I'll take that back. There's no dumb question. These stupid questions. Well, listen, just get gold, okay? I mean, that's like saying, if I got oil running out the ground, how am I going to cash it? Come on, just get oil, okay? While you can. Well, Noah, if you build that boat, reckon how we gonna climb the stairs? Mama's on a walker. Just get on the low-down boat. All right. So when I say the largest wealth transfer, what do I mean by that? The money's going to move from foreign governments that's holding U.S. debt to American citizens that are holding gold. Do you understand that's about to happen? Do you understand that's about to happen? Here's what that means for you, my friend. If somebody's watching me tonight and you have a 401k, my God, transfer it into precious metals. Do it today. You can go to that QR code above my head, scan it. We'll help you. We've got lawyers on staff that will help you. Somebody watching me now and you just got a settlement, you just got an inheritance from mama or daddy, and you're going to put it in a bank. Have you lost your marbles? Buy you a chunk of gold. There's about to be a reset. You don't have to wait to get to heaven to walk on streets of gold. Some of you fixing to walk on them right now. Why would Donald Trump disarm his own base before the battle? He wants Americans to win. Y'all need to listen closely when Donald Trump makes a post about the golden age of America. You need to listen, children. He wants America to win. Your gold is safe. Now, let's move on to what matters tonight. So just don't worry about your gold. It's safe, okay? I want to show you something that should send chills down your spine. 1933 is repeating. Not because history is random, but because history is always cyclical. It's always going in the same circle. History is not linear. It is cyclical. Governments always make the same mistakes. Debt always leads to the same destination. Let me show you the parallel. You got your little handy dandy pen out? All right. 1933, I'm going to give you 6 signs. Number one, the roaring 20s created a debt bubble. Just put the word debt bubble. Number two, easy credit, stock speculation, margin buying. This was all happening in 1933. Number three, when it popped, the banks failed. Number four, the government's response, more debt. Number five, FDR's New Deal required massive government spending. Number six, the debt to GDP ratio exploded. Now, let's go to 2025. Ready? Watch the parallel. All right? Number one, the housing bubble from 2008 to 2025 created the same thing, a debt bubble. Same thing. Parallel number two, easy credit, stock speculation, leverage everywhere. Number three, when it popped, the banks failed. Number four, the government responded with more debt ceiling. Bailouts, stimulus money, quantitative easing, COVID spending, just like FDR's New Deal. You following me? We're on the same trajectory here. And now in 2025, the debt to GDP ratio has exploded. That, my friend, is a mirror. That is a mirror of 1933. Same pattern, same cause, same response, same trajectory. Now, let's do another parallel. That parallel was called the debt explosion. Let's do another parallel. For those taking notes, that one was the debt explosion. This parallel is the currency crisis. Okay? We're going to do the same thing, 6 and 6. 6 from then, 6 from now. Let's see how we're mirroring here. Number one, the dollar was losing purchasing power in 1933. Number two, people were hoarding gold because they didn't trust paper. Just write the word hoarding, okay? Because I got to move fast tonight. Number three, the gold was draining out of the treasury. Write the word draining. You'll know what it means. Number five, foreign governments were demanding gold for their dollars in 1933. And then number six, the system was about to break. All right, let's go to 2025. Number one, the dollar is losing purchasing power. Same thing. Number two, people like me and you are hoarding gold and silver because we don't trust paper. Bing, same thing. Number three, physical metal is draining from our vaults in the United States of America. Same thing. Next, foreign governments are doing the same thing now they did then. They're dumping their dollars. They're buying gold. Next, the system is about to break. Do you see it? The same panic is building. The same distrust is spreading. The same metal is moving. Okay? Now let's do another comparison. Are you ready? Let's call the political environment. The political environment, 1933, 1 through 6. Let's do this. In 1933, a new president has just taken office. Okay? Number two, he promised bold action. Number three, he had a mandate from the people. He won so powerfully. He had a mandate. Number five, he was willing to break the rules. We're talking about FDR. Number six, he saw the crisis as an opportunity to reshape the system. 2025, ready? Number one, a new president has just taken office. Number two, he promised bold action. Number three, he has a mandate from the people. Number four, he's willing to break the rules. Five, rather. And number six, he sees crisis as the opportunity to pull that golden lever and to forever reshape the system. FDR was a disruptor. Trump is a disruptor. FDR didn't care what the establishment thought. Trump doesn't care. FDR used emergency powers aggressively. Trump has shown he will do the same thing. Bam. Now, let's do another comparison. The global realignment. 1933. Are you ready? 1 through 6. Let's do it again. The British Empire was fading. A new world order was emerging. Global trade was fragmenting. Countries were building walls and tariffs and capital control, and the old monetary system was dying. That was 1 through 6. Hope you wrote all that down. 2025. The American empire is challenged. Number two, a new world order is emerging called BRICS. If you don't know about BRICS, I don't have time tonight. Number three, global trade is fragmenting. Number five, or somewhere, countries are building walls, tariffs, and de-dollarization. And number six, the old monetary system is dying. My fellow Americans, the parallels are appalling. The 1933 reset happened because the old system could not survive anymore. We are standing in the face of the same thing. The old system of printing money with nothing to back it up and undervaluing our gold, that old system is at the end. The death rattle is in the throat. The gold standard as it existed then was broken. Something had to give. FDR chose to reset the gold price to save the system. Did you hear me? I just showed you all the similarities with FDR and Donald Trump. And how did FDR save the system? Revalued gold. Reset. It was a reset. Something had to give. The debt, today, the 1971 system created by Richard Milhous Nixon is broke. It's done. It's over. The debt's unpayable. The dollar is being rejected around the world. Trust is evaporating. Something has to give. Trump will have to choose. And just like FDR, he will choose gold. Why do you think everything in his office is gold? Do you think all that gold stuff is not a signal? Do you think the man is not talking through signs and symbols that it's about to get golden around here? Amen. Don't leave tonight at 8:30. I start a whole different class on a whole different topic for all my truthers out there. Let's see how many of you truly are truthers. We'll find out. 8:30 Central. Here is where the cycles diverge. In 1933, the government needed to acquire gold. They needed it for the monetary system that was in place, so they confiscated it. But in 2025, the government does not need to acquire gold. We already have 8,100 tons. We just need to reprice it. That's it. We can save America by repricing gold. Now I want to ask all of you a question now. Do you remember those people that did not have gold? When it was repriced, how much money they lost, the wealth that they lost, that's going to be you when gold gets repriced again. All right. Let's talk about why a reset is mathematically inevitable. Okay? I'm going to show you why a reset is inevitable. It's got to happen. Okay? We covered the debt math last night. 38 trillion, 1 trillion in annual interest. That's a death spiral. You know the numbers. The question is, what are our options? Put in your notes that America has 4 options. Put that down in your handy dandy notebook. 4. We're going to run through them, okay? I'm in a hurry tonight. The government has 4 options to deal with an unpayable debt. Option number 1, default. Just stop paying our debts. Tell bondholders, sorry, we're broke. That would destroy the global financial systems overnight. It would collapse banks worldwide. It would trigger a depression that would make 1929 look like a picnic. No government will choose this, okay? Option number 1, off the table. Option number 2, austerity. What is austerity? The very thing that's never going to happen. It's when you cut spending dramatically. If you live in a country that's ran by we the people, you're never ever going to be able to cut spending, because the very we the people that says cut spending are the same people that cry we when you cut their check. Okay, never going to happen. You cannot balance the budget and you cannot cut spending in a people that's voting you into office. You do not pay down the debt when you are voted into office, because you're going to have to cut Social Security, Medicare, defense, everything. Politically impossible. So option B is off the table. Option 3, inflation. Just print more money. Let the dollar keep losing value. Pay back the debt with cheaper dollars. Well, that's the option we have chosen. We chose that in 2008. We doubled down in 2020, and we've been committed to option C or option 3. But here's the problem. It's getting out of control. Okay, it's what we've been doing. But now it's out of control. Close your eyes, everybody. There we go. We got to breathe a little bit here. And guess what? The nations are noticing that it's out of control. That's why they're sending their ships to get their gold. The dollar is losing credibility. So option C has been our default program since 2008. Foreign governments are dumping the dollars because option C is running out of gas. It's working, but it's destroying trust. So what's option number 4? The only thing that will work. A gold reset is the 4th option. Now, this is the option they don't talk about publicly when they're running for office. This is called controlled reevaluation. That's option 4. Controlled reevaluation. You simply reprice gold to $20,000 or $50,000 an ounce, anywhere in between there. They could get by with 20 or 50 or 30 or 40. Somebody's got to, yes, I just said that. So gold today is $5,000. They simply reprice it to $20,000 or $50,000, and suddenly, that quick, that fast, immediately. And by the way, on top of all of this, tariffs. This is the one part history has not considered. Donald Trump's tariffs, working with revalued gold, will save America. Suddenly, on our books, on our ledger, we now have $10 trillion worth of gold. Whereas right now, we have $1 trillion. You simply reprice it, and you're now worth $10 trillion in gold. The balance sheet improves. Trust is restored. Confidence is restored. Suddenly the dollar is seen as backed by $10 trillion worth of gold. Now, here's the beautiful part, and here's where good people, like Bo Polney and other ones that I love, here's, they want to reprice gold to get us out of debt completely. That's never going to happen. To the best of my knowledge, it's not going to. Because you do not have to pay off the debt to restore confidence. You just have to make it more manageable. That's it. Think about what this actually does to the balance sheet. Trying to breathe here. Help me, Lord. Right now, our debt ratio is absurd. Right now, we have $38 trillion in debt with $11 billion worth of gold. I'm sorry, I made a huge mistake a moment ago. I told you we have $1 trillion in gold right now. No, we do not. We would if they would reprice it to spot value, which is $5,000 an ounce, basically. Then we would have $1 trillion. It's much worse than that. We only have $11 billion worth of gold with $38 trillion in debt. So you bring that ledger sheet to anyone in the world, they're going to freak. What's your debt? $38 trillion. How much gold you got? $11 billion. Nobody's going to believe that balance sheet. But if you reprice the gold to $20, $30, $40, $50,000 an ounce, here's what's going to happen. Suddenly, your ledger is going to look more like 1970. Okay? Not good, but not catastrophic. Not enough gold to pay off the debt entirely, but you don't need to pay off the debt because we have GDP, we have production in America, we have value in other places. We don't need all of our value in gold, okay? Our GDP is valuable. The products we create, that all goes to show confidence in our dollar. But we need more than $11 billion in gold. We need that to be 11 trillion, if you will, 20 trillion, however much, combined with our GDP, and suddenly the whole world is confident in our dollars again. We're not trying to get to zero debt. So anyone out there on YouTube that's telling you we erase the debt, just revalue the gold, we don't need to erase our debt. Remember, we have to have deficits in America to get dollars out to the world. Deficits are not a bad thing for us because if we don't have deficits, that means that the dollars are not in the world anymore, and that's where we want them to be. Now, in the 1970s, if you'll look at that ledger with a repriced gold, it would look the exact same. No longer a catastrophe. The goal is not perfection. Now, see, what I'm giving you now is the middle of the road. What I'm giving you is not what everybody's dreaming of, but it is where Donald Trump is going to bring us to. The goal is not perfection. It's simply believability. A reset is not going to erase the debt. Please don't believe that. It makes the debt believable again. And believability is all that holds fiat currency together. Now, why they must pull the lever? Why now? Why can't they just keep kicking the can? Because the can has hit a wall. Okay? If interest rates stay high, the interest payments will explode. If interest rates go low, inflation explodes. Do you see where we are right now? If interest rates stay high, our payments explode. They go down, our inflation explodes. There's no good option available. Let's talk about BRICS. China, Russia, Brazil, India, Saudi Arabia. They're building a system like I'm talking about right now, backed by gold. We are being pushed into a corner. There's going to be a reset. There has to be. Because these nations are trading in their own currencies. They're accumulating gold. They're preparing for a post-dollar world, and Donald Trump's not going to let that happen. Donald Trump's at war with BRICS. The only way to defeat BRICS is to revalue our gold. If we do not act, we will lose reserve currency status by default. And that would make America no longer the superpower of the world. The next reason we've got to pull the lever, because there's a physical gold drain. Gold is leaving our vaults. They're moving to China, to Russia, to central banks. The physical foundation of any future gold system is being transferred to our competitors. Every month that we wait to pull that lever, we get weaker and weaker. And then Donald Trump, here's the political side. He's only got 3 years of political capital left. And I would say if we don't win the midterms, which I believe we will, but if we don't, he's got a year of political capital left. That's it, to pull this lever. The crisis is now. The mandate is still strong. If he's going to reset the system, it has to be soon, before the next election cycle, before the crisis becomes unmanageable, before the competitors finish their alternative brick system. The reset isn't coming because someone wants it. The reset is coming because the math requires it. The geopolitics demand it. The timing demands it. It's not a question of if, but when. And everything that I see says soon, now. Let's roll over. Let's talk about the sister of gold, which is silver. Let me show you what's happening, and I'll help you see why this reset is imminent. Because the market is speaking. It's screaming. There is something called a $25 gap I want to talk to you about real quickly. As I'm speaking to you tonight, something unprecedented is happening. Silver is trading in New York right now at around $77 an ounce. When I started buying silver, it was $19 an ounce. Thank God I bought it. I've moved our entire church ministry building fund into it. I wish I'd have done that much sooner. But nevertheless, we're at $77 an ounce. That is the COMEX price, okay? That's what CNBC shows you on their sticker. But go across the world to Shanghai, China right now, and you're going to find that silver's not selling at $77. It's selling at $100 an ounce. That is a $25 gap between New York and Shanghai. Listen carefully. In the professional world, we don't call that a spread. We call that an arbitrage opportunity. We call that a broken market. Here's what that $25 gap that's happening while we're talking right now. You can go look it up. There's a gap between us and Shanghai. Let me explain why it's so important. In a normal functioning market, not a broken market, if something costs $75 in one place and $100 in another place, traders will buy the cheap one and sell the expensive one. They pocket the difference. That's called arbitrage. And arbitrage closes the gap within hours and minutes.
we close the gap. In a normal functioning market, there is not a gap that exists over a few minutes. It's eradicated. Why? Because everybody suddenly sells, rebuys, and bam, the gap is closed. Are you with me tonight? Okay. But this particular gap of silver has been open for weeks. That's called a what? Come on, class. A broken market. Why? Because you cannot arbitrage paper against physical. You see, there is two prices that you're seeing in silver. Silver has two prices, a paper price and a physical price. All right? The New York price that you're seeing right now is the paper price. It's simply numbers on a screen. The Shanghai price you're seeing is the physical price of silver. To close the gap, you need to buy physical silver in New York, ship it to Shanghai, and sell it there for $100. And that's exactly what's happening. Every available bar in the West is being shipped to the East. Think about this, everybody. Think about this. If it's $75 here and $100 there, all you got to do is empty the vaults here of silver, ship it over there, sell it, and bam, you paid for the shipping cost and made money. What do you think's happening to our silver? The problem is the paper here has not caught up to what's happening. The vaults are being drained while you're sitting there wondering, should I get some silver? London is almost out of silver. Comex almost out. The metal is leaving. Now, let me show you what just happened this week while you were not paying attention. The banks, how many of you remember when silver hit $80 about three days ago? All right? And many of you went out and bought it for $80. The banks have been short of silver for decades. The banks that have been suppressing the price of silver have made a horrible error, fatal error. In the last 48 hours of 2025, right now, yesterday and today, did anybody see silver drop from $80 down to $70 in one day? Did you see that? And you said, oh man, maybe I ought to cash out before it keeps going. Stop. In the name of silver, stop. Don't think like that. Stay with me. It's not what you just saw happen was a scam. In the last 48 hours, the banks smashed the price of silver and drove it down to $70. Why? Because of something called, write this down, GSIB compliance. GSIB compliance. What does that mean? GSIB stands for Global Systemically Important Banks. Global, in other words, the VIPs of the banks. Okay? Under Basel III regulations, the biggest banks, the GSIB banks, are scored on their balance sheet on what day of the year? I dare you to tell me. What day does all of these banks get scored? You guessed it. Today, December 31st. And if their risk score is too high, they pay billions of dollars in extra capital requirements. So every year in late December, these banks have a what? A fire sale. What do they sell? Assets. They close their positions. They shrink their books. They're not selling because they think silver's going down. They're selling because they need to look smaller to the regulators of the bank. It's a regulatory hallucination, and it ends today at midnight. But here's the mistake they made. They threw everything they had yesterday and the day before at that $80 silver mark. They threw everything they had at it. They lowered the price for China. Here's what happened. When they smashed that down to $70, they did not kill the silver rally. Oh, no, 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 no. They created the greatest buying opportunity for their competitors. They lowered the prices, all they did, from 80 to 70. And guess who they lowered it for? China. They lowered it for Samsung. They lowered the price for the industrial buyers who are draining our vaults. They sold their cheap silver to strong hands. And this is a fatal error for a short seller. You want to cover your shorts by buying from weak hands. You never sell to strong hands, because strong hands never sell it back to you. Do you know what they do with it? They take it off the exchange. They melt it. They vault it. They use it. And by driving the price in the last 2 days back down to $70, the banks accelerated the drain of physical inventory. That's what the banks did. But listen to me carefully. Here's what's incredible. When the banks smashed silver for the last 2 days down to $70, they hit a wall of concrete. They thought they were going to drive silver back down to its $40 level so that they look smaller to the regulators. All their assets, because if they've got all this silver and it's worth this much money, their regulators don't like that. But they hit a wall of concrete because it did not go down to $68, $65, $55, $45. Nope, it stopped dead in its tracks at $70. Somebody decided we're going to buy everything at $70. The banks tried to push it lower. Instead of panic, they found liquidity. They sold their cheap silver to accumulators. And within 24 hours, listen to this carefully. Today, 24 hours later, silver is back to $77. Impossible. If the G-SIB banks are fighting silver and it can only knock it down and it bounces right back to $77, that means one thing: the floor is set. The bottom, it's in. The selling pressure has been exhausted. The banks threw the kitchen sink at this market, and the market absorbed it all. So what happens in 3 days, 2 days from now? What happens on January the 2nd? Now, tomorrow, the markets are all closed. But on Friday, January the 2nd, the doors will blow wide open. And here's what's waiting. All the pension funds are going to wake up. $50 trillion in pension fund assets are managed by committees. What's the first thing them committees are going to look at Friday morning? Performance. And silver was the best performing asset of 2025. That's what's going to be on their books come. Now, what does that mean, Professor Toto? I'm glad you asked. Did you know that silver beat the S&P 500 in 2025? Do you know it beat bonds? Do you know it beat real estate? Oh man, aren't you glad I told you 5 years ago, get you some silver? Ain't you glad about it? Except for those of you that didn't do it. When the pension fund managers come back to work on Friday, They're going to look up at that leaderboard. Oh, yes, they are. They're going to see silver at the top, and here's what they're going to ask. Are you ready? Do we own enough of that? And the answer is going to come back from the rest of the committee. We don't own any silver. And then the rebalancing will begin. What's going to happen? Oh, they're going to sell some tech stock, some losing bonds. And what are they going to do with that money when they sell off those losing bonds? I'll be doggone. They're going to buy silver. They're going to buy the winner. That's what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen come January the 2nd. And that's when the real squeeze is going to begin. Now, I'm going to call January 26th and all of 2026 the year of the squeeze, not as a slogan, but as a mathematical description. Here's why. All the buffers are gone. China has just made selling silver to any other country illegal without state approval. Okay? What did they just do to the silver flow? They just reduced it. Demand, supply and demand. Okay? All the buffers are gone. In 2024, there was gold and silver in London. In 2025, there was inventory in COMEX. In 2026, nothing. There's nothing. The registered inventory in London is zero. In COMEX, it's zero. The eligible inventory is now in strong hands. The mines are all flat. The demand is vertical. The market has to find a price that destroys demand. Did you hear me? Did you hear me, those of you stacking silver? The market will have to find a price that will destroy. In other words, price it so high, people will quit buying it. And what does that mean for you? Now, that price will not be $75. And I don't believe that price is going to be $100. It's going to be a lot more. The market has a lot of work to do. It has a lot of distance to cover. This means 2026 will be characterized by a violent upside. We will see days where silver moves $5 in a day and many weeks where it will move $20 in a week. This is what happens when a compressed spring is released in a vacuum. No resistance, only velocity. Now, Professor Toto, how do we play this? Okay, here I want you to understand and keep this in mind. Let's talk about ratios. Okay, put on your notes. I'm fixing to teach you when to sell your silver and buy gold. Listen, I'm running out of time. I got 15 minutes left, okay? Let me show you how to find a ratio. Imagine you're in a coin shop. You walk in with 65 silver coins. You slide them across the counter, and the dealer slides back one gold coin. That is a ratio of 65 to 1. Okay? You understand? We need to learn about silver and gold ratio. 65 silver coins will buy one silver coin. That's 65 to 1. Okay? So let's do the math. Gold, let's say, is $5,000 an ounce right now. Silver is $77 an ounce. So 5,000, divide that by 77, and you've now got a 65 to 1 ratio. Here's why it matters. If you have a high ratio, 65 to 80 is a high ratio. That means silver is cheap. Hold silver. When you get a low ratio, which is 15 to 30, silver is now expensive, swap it for gold. There you go. That's your ratios. If you have a high ratio, hold your silver. When you get down to a low ratio, do not cash out. Swap it for gold. So if you have 65 ounces of silver that's worth 1 ounce of gold, you wait. You don't do anything. But when that ratio drops 15-1, now your 65 ounces of silver will buy 4.5 ounces of gold. You just quadrupled your gold without touching dollars. So this is very important. You've got to understand the ratio. Now, a ratio is just a comparison. How much of one thing does it take to equal another thing? That's a ratio. The gold to silver ratio asks a simple question. How many ounces of silver does it take to buy 1 ounce of gold? Let's do the math. We just went over it. 65-1. Why this matters? The ratio changes over time. The ratio is going to change. Sometimes silver is cheap compared to gold. That ratio is high. Sometimes silver is expensive compared to gold. That ratio is low. When silver is cheap, high ratio, you hold that silver because silver still has more room to run. If the ratio is 65-1 and it drops 30-1, silver has doubled relative to gold. When silver is expensive, swap it for gold because silver is entering what we call a mania territory. It's probably about to crash when you see those ratios. Gold becomes safer than silver at that part. Here's the beautiful part. Don't sell it for dollars. You're trading silver coins for gold coins, metal for metal. No taxes. You understand, right? When you cash out, it becomes taxable. As long as you're transferring metal to metal, there's no taxes, no fiat, no running back into a burning building of fake money. So let's say you have 65 ounces of silver at a 65-1 ratio. That buys you 1 ounce of gold. What does that mean? Wait, hold. Silver's running up. Gold stays flat. And the ratio drops 15-1. Now your 65 ounces of silver buys you 4 ounces of gold. You just turned 1 ounce of gold into 4 ounces of gold by doing nothing but waiting and swapping at the right time. That is the ratio trade. Now, here's what's about to happen. When silver hits $100, you're going to feel like a genius, okay? When it hits $150, you're going to feel like a god, if you will. But when it pulls back to $120, you're going to feel like a fool. Don't sell for dollars. If you sell silver at $100 for dollars, you're running back into a burning building. The dollar is the thing that is dying. Silver is the thing that's living. The smart money does not sell for cash. Smart money swaps. You trade one undervalued asset for another undervalued asset. You move from the overheated room to the cool room. You never step outside into the cold air of fiat currency. So right now, gold to silver ratio is 65-1. Historically, during silver manias, the ratio will collapse. In 1980, it hit 17-1. In 2011, it hit 30-1. Here's your roadmap. Zone number 1, ratio above 50. I hope you're taking notes. If the ratio is above 50, hold that silver, accumulate it. If the ratio hits 30, that's a yellow alert. Consider swapping 20 to 30% of your silver for gold and lock in those gains. If the ratio hits 15, that's a red alert. Swap most of your silver for gold. And at 15 to 1, you have effectively tripled your gold stack without touching a dollar. Without paying capital gains tax, you just played the ratio. This is how dynastic wealth is preserved. You move from high volatility to low volatility at the peak of the cycle. And then you wait for the next cycle. All right, I'm almost out of time. Why is 2026 the year that everything collides? It's called a convergence. Multiple forces are hitting at the same time. Monetary pressure, political pressure, geopolitical pressure, market pressure, and each of these pressures alone would be manageable. But when they come together, they're overwhelming. Something has to give, and that something is the current system. That 1971 fiat system is on the deathbed. The unlimited printing system, the debt doesn't matter system, it's over. Not because I say so, but because the math says so, because the markets say so, because the nations say so. History says so. So, that was part 2. Let me recap what we've covered. I've got 8 minutes left. I do thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. I really, really, really do. Let me recap. Trump will not confiscate your gold. The 1933 cycle is repeating. A reset is mathematically inevitable. And now, this is about surviving a reset, okay? This gold and silver right now is not about getting rich. It's about surviving a reset that is coming. Here's the truth, my fellow Americans. Have you positioned yourself? You know, we have some super spiritual people that watch me, and they always say, Pastor Vaughn, Professor Toto, the Bible says that we're just going to throw our silver and gold in the streets in the end times. No, it does not. No, it doesn't. I don't have time to teach you. I know you think that's what it says, but if you understand the 2 verses in Ezekiel and the other one I believe in Hosea, memory slips me now, but it's not talking about the end time. It's talking about the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70, when indeed they looted the temple, they took the gold and the silver, and it was literally thrown in the streets, okay? It was a judgment against Jerusalem. It was not telling you to not prepare for the great wealth transfer, okay? Look, Jesus Christ sent his disciples to find silver in the mouth of a fish. What I'm asking you tonight and what I'm calling on you is to have no fear, but just position yourself, because this window is closing. Now, you've heard me for 5 years mention gold and silver, suggest it, recommend it. But now I'm urgent about it. I believe the window is closing. If you're going to do something, you need to do it. The prices are rising. The metal is leaving. And once it's gone, it is gone. Now, real quickly, before you buy silver, I beg you, go watch my teaching called Alarm Bells Are Screaming, and I will teach you how to buy silver. Silver is very hard to get rid of. You always lose money if you don't buy it from the right place, that guarantees to buy it back with the push of a button at the highest buyback price above spot. Okay? So please get silver, but get it right. All right? And so I thank you for watching
The Briefing with Professor Toto.